And now for something completely different. I thought I would show you a fun little tip today for carving your undefined stamps. I took a photo of a panda off the internet. Here's the original photo. And I just brought it into Photoshop. And I used the cutout filter to kind of remove some of the detail of the photo and turn it just into a more abstract black and white image of a panda, which you can see here. Look how ridiculously adorable he is. And I took a piece of the undefined rubber, and what I have here is a product called Transdoodle that is going to help me get my design onto the rubber for carving. So what you do is you put the colored side down of the Transdoodle directly onto the rubber. I secure it with a little bit of washi tape. The last thing you want to have happen is for your design to shift while you're trying to transfer it to the rubber, because then you'll end up with something frightening that you didn't intend to have. So that's secured just to my craft mat with a little bit of washi tape. And when I put the little panda on there, I tried to size the block just right. I have to feel around a little bit to find the edges so that I have him, so that part of the design isn't coming off the block, basically. And then I'm also going to tape that down. Again, I really don't want anything to move, so it's worth just taking an extra second or two to do this. And now that he's secure, all you have to do with the Transdoodle is just take a pencil. You don't want a mechanical pencil. You want a pencil with a little thicker lead, because you do need to be able to put a pretty good amount of pressure on it to get the Transdoodle to work. And then you just start coloring whatever you want transferred to the block. Now this is personal choice, but for me, because the pencil is dark and the black part of my image is dark, I prefer to color in the white area with the pencil, meaning whatever I transfer to the block will be an area that will need to be cut away. But you need to think about this and just kind of hold your mouth just right when you're doing it to make sure that you've planned in advance whether you want the Transdoodle color to show up in cutaway areas or whether you want the Transdoodle color to show up in areas that are going to become the stamp surface. So just think about it. You know, you sort of have to work backwards when you're doing stamp carving anyway. Now, I found the Transdoodle in the strangest of places. I went to QuiltCon a couple weeks ago. I'm terrified of sewing machines. I've never sewed a lick in my life. I don't know, it's genetic. My sister is a great seamstress. Me, not so much. And I would never have the patience for a quilt. But art quilting is so amazing now, and we saw such cool stuff, so many cool products, and this was one of them, that I just had a great time. Saw beautiful art, found some cool products. So you can see how beautifully the Transdoodle marked up the area that I need to carve, and I can just get started. It comes in a bunch of different colors, which is cool because depending on what you're working on, obviously it was at QuiltCon because it's used by quilters to transfer images onto fabric. But the second I saw it at their booth, I thought, you know what? This was made for undefined. I've never really liked just trying to draw either directly on the undefined blocks or to transfer pencil. I just didn't think it got enough of the image down there for me to be super accurate with it and be like Melody Hyde awesome. So I thought that I would give this a try, and sure enough, I love it. I split a package with my sister, and I have several different colors, and I'm just going to play around with it. Now, when I do the carving, the undefined carving, I tend to work around the edge first and just remove sort of the outline so that I can focus my detailed work on the inside. And I'm starting with the larger of the two undefined tools. just to remove these bigger areas. And it's so smooth and easy. And look how fast I can do it. I am super, super amazing. I switch back and forth during this carving to the fine tool and then back to the larger rounded tool. And I do sometimes pull in my image for reference just to make sure I'm on track and I'm not carving something that shouldn't be carved. And you'll see me do something I call duck waddling around the edges. I sort of tip the tool back and forth when I'm trying to create sort of a rough edge, because his fur on the image is kind of rough. It's not smooth. He's not a perfect little panda. So I just tip the tool back and forth, and it makes kind of a more pebbly edge, and I like that effect. Now I like to take an X-Acto and just trim off excess pieces. There's no point in me just carving those perfectly when I can just trim them off. It's sort of like trimming your stamps in the old days. Sorry, my little wrecking ball, Maddie, is in the background making a lot of noise. I apologize. So I'll slice off, and what I do, I don't cut all the way through the rubber. You can see me snapping it off, especially since my work surface is only protected by a craft mat right now, so that would be stupid. I just cut about halfway through, and then the rubber snaps really nicely and cleanly off. And then I can just come back on the edges with my carving tool and take off those little bumps that kind of bug me after a while. But it really is soft and easy to carve, and I enjoy it. I don't do it often enough. It's a very zen activity, I think, and I like. I like zen art activities. So here I'm going to go show you my Mad Ninja speed carving skills again. I do like to go around the edges, make the edges kind of smooth. I think now that I have my Misty, I probably won't mount these on wood blocks. I'll probably just put a little glue on them and let that adhere them to the lid of my Misty. But this is a pretty simple image, and so it really doesn't take that long to carve something like this. And when you use Photoshop and kind of remove the details from something that you want to use, it makes it a lot easier. Now, before I do the final sort of cleanup details, I like to just go ahead and stamp it on a scrap and see where I am, if my panda looks psychotic, if I just need to ditch it and start over. So I just do a little trial run. This is with Mossy Meadow. I don't like to do it in black because I don't like to stain them right out of the gate. So I can see that I have some extra ink being picked up, and I can also see that there's some shapes that I don't really like. Like he has some crazy points on his eyes that, well, they make him look crazy. And nobody needs a crazy panda. So this is a good time to fix some of those things. Now you do need to take your little disposable washcloth I told you about and clean it off so that you don't get ink all over your hands, which is a lie because I have ink all over my hands all the time anyway, so it doesn't really help me all that much. But I'm just checking to make sure that the shapes are where I want. I noticed when I did the first stamping that his nose really wasn't defined enough for me. You can see he has sort of a little button nose in the version that I printed. And somehow I lost that detail when I was carving, so I'm going to go back and add that back in. Now you can see you will get some little pieces of rubber on your ink pad when you do this if you're not super fastidious about cleaning off your stamp before you stamp. But those are easy to take care of. So I'm going to stamp again and do a panda check. And his nose is looking better. I do like being able to see the shape of his nose, but I'm still getting some stray stuff, and I'm still getting a few kind of pointy edges that don't look, I mean, there is just nothing pointy about a panda. Let's be real. So I'm going to have to clean some of that up just a bit. And here's where I forget to clean my stamp, and my fingers are green for the rest of the week. That's just how I roll. I always wonder how people in public perceive me when I'm at the grocery store or I'm somewhere and my fingers are completely green. I wonder what they think. Maybe some of them will get on the internet and tell me what their theories are about how my fingertips all turned green. Stamp him. Oh, he's looking like a panda now. He looks like a panda that's running at the camera, which that would be the ultimate situation, just to have a panda running straight at you, probably for a hug. That's how I imagine pandas do things. So let's try him again, see how he is. He's looking pretty good. That's a pretty fine looking panda, I'm not going to lie. And there's his little brother. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have fun playing with Transdoodle and your undefined.